welcome to this week's episode of Crypto City. We are almost at the season finale next week, but this week we have someone special coming on who's been a longtime community member and audience member for our show, and he does a lot of amazing artistic between photography, graphic, digital art, all types of work. Absolutely beautiful. So we're going to bring him on in a second, but I just want to mention a couple things before we get started. Like I said, next week is the season finale, and we will be taking a break over the summer as we usually do, but we are already taking people for season 9. So if you know of anyone, or if you yourself have something that you want to come on and share with us that you're doing in VR that's tech related, or that involves tools from VR, or just a show, or you bring your business in, things like that, hit me up on Instagram and we'll talk and we'll see if it's an appropriate fit to bring you on. And we love to help showcase the community, but we also like to teach people and have everybody kind of grow along with the system. So if you've got things that you can share to help other people in the community, let's talk. So tonight, like I said, we are going to bring on ExactSpace, and we are going to hear his journey and talk about the tools that he's using to help grow his artistic abilities. And if you please all welcome to the stage, ExactSpace, please join us.
Hello, hello.
Welcome. Please grab a seat. Thank you for joining us. Nice to have you on this side of the stage. You've always been in the audience. Great to finally have you up here.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So let's tell the audience a little bit about you, and what you do and like your journey here. We did mention you're an artist, but, tell us a little bit about your history and where you come from and your style.
Yeah, so I'm in Boston, Mass, and I do lots of different art stuff and some music stuff too. And I'm a software developer now, and yeah, I always go back to my own work and try to work on that, so it's always a journey in development. Still a story that's writing itself.
I love that. And I love that people are enjoying going back and bettering themselves instead of just being like, you know what, I can do this, I'm moving on to the next thing. Go back and improve the original skills that you have. That's such a great attitude to have toward it. So, you're an artist, you're a photographer, you are doing, all types of different art and graphic design. Tell us a little bit about your specialties and what your background is and how you got to there.
Yeah. Well, early on, I was into photography and digital art. In high school, we had a graphic design class with Photoshop and Flash, and I got really into Flash and doing animation and things like that. And I would work on projects. I would stay after school in the computer lab where the class took place and worked on projects all afternoon sometimes there. I ended up working at a photo studio in high school doing photo restoration, so I learned a lot there. But at the same time, I was recording my friends' bands too, and working over the summer to buy equipment. And so I was into all these things, and it was either I go to art school that I got a scholarship for, or I go to school for audio recording. So I decided to go to school for audio recording, and I learned about that. Did jobs with that, with like live sound, and but I had to make more money, and when places were shutting down, I had to find other work, and someone taught me the computer programming there.
Okay.
And yeah.
So you've got a decent amount of tech knowledge, and as well as the graphic abilities.
Yeah, and I kind of put those two together, and I started, later on, over and over again, I started making my own software. That's where I find myself making tools to make visuals and things like that, and audio.
So you've been, you're doing all this, in the real world. This is what your day to day encompasses. And then you've come in here into the metaverse. And I did see that you had a whole, showcase of your work in an art gallery in here. I happened to stumble across that one day and I was like, wait a second, I didn't even know you had all this going on in here. So that was pretty cool to see. Do you find that the metaverse is a great platform for you to showcase it as well as, kind of complementary to the real world?
Yeah, it's amazing, and it feels all the same, and you tell someone this that doesn't have any experience with it and they don't really believe it or know what you're talking about. But it's like a huge thing. I mean, there's so many applications for VR, but having a gallery, and being able to see each other's work is just an incredible thing to be able to do. It brings far away work to someone's living room, being able to discuss it with someone in real time, point things out. You can't do that with like a website really as easily,
Right.
but being in VR, it's like you're in that space. So yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
It's kind of cool too, because we obviously see ourselves in here as avatars, whether it's a human form or a creative form, but when you are bringing the actual artwork in, you can bring in replicas of the exact artwork, the replicas of photos. You can actually bring in a photo of a real, just like you would see in the real world. So the technology is advanced enough that you really can showcase your work. It's not a pixelated version. It's a beautiful version that you can see in here.
Yeah. And like I said, like no one knows until they try it. And I just had my parents put on the VR for like a few minutes and they're just like, whoa, yeah, this is like exactly like being in a gallery,
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's funny too, because going back to the AltSpace days and then coming through Spatial and coming here and seeing iterations of different art galleries, through the years, it's always been something that's been so cool to be able to see people's creative work, being showcased in front of people from all over the world, which is great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's go back and talk more about technology. So you've got this tech background, you've got this artistic background, and you've said you've developed software programs and things. So we're going to see a little bit of your artwork, and you're going to tell us a little bit about the background and the technology that you're using. But also, I want you to share with us, what it is that you're creating and how you're able to do this stuff, so that the audience can learn more about the technology behind it.
Yeah. Well, like what we got going on right now on the screen, the one on the left is something I made in like 2007 or 2008. And it was in Flash using the vector tool, and I was really into that because I thought it was cool that you could make a piece and resize it to any size without it, showing the squares or pixelating. And I kind of just decided to take that concept and see if I could simplify it. And on the right are those creatures, the bug robots. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because I started looking into t-shirt design and learning about like heat transfers and things like that. And like the less colors you have, of course, the less expensive it is to produce and less expensive it is for people to buy. But I learned that there's just so much that you can do with one color, and because you just have transparency in one color, and thinking about that, and if you flip the colors around, you might have to flip other things around because the pupil no longer is the right color,
Right.
So it makes you really think about like how you can play with that space and like what you can do with simplicity.
Some negative space is actually adding to the designs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went on, to make designs out of them. And, here I'm using, I think, just like 4 colors. And I incorporate other things too, like barcodes and color codes that are on, it's kind of weird, but like groceries and stuff. Like I always thought that was really cool, like what they use to align printing and the colors, calibration, stuff like
The
that.
registrations, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. You know the words.
Okay.
Yep. So, and that barcode is actually, it's a real barcode. It goes to the website, so you could scan the shirt if you want. I have another
so
one
cool.
that's a QR code on there. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, this shirt I made, and I put up on a few different sites, and it did really well, you know. So I was psyched about that. And later on, there was some kind of program with the city to, not to make any money off of it, but to share your art in newspaper bins. And the posters are 25 cents each. So they made I made a poster of it, and all around Boston they had the newspaper bins filled up with this print.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
and I'm from the Boston area, so I know exactly what you're talking about with the newspaper bins. So
you do. Awesome. Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm trying to remember the name of the program, but yeah, I thought it was really cool.
That's interesting. Okay, then. Next slide, I think. Yep. Oh, okay. So here's some of your photography. This is beautiful.
Yeah. These I just wanted to show what could be done without many edits or any edits, you know, really. Like, it's just probably cropping and like lighting here, you know, and they're just moments I just felt like I had to capture. For, you know, the left one was this one I walked by, and it was like these water droplets on a branch. They're super prominent. I could see the house reflecting in through it.
I can
so
see
I
that
just felt
from
like
here.
I had to
That's
get a
crazy.
picture of it. Because like, yeah, like I've never seen like the water droplets just like collect on things like this, you know, so vividly, and making the reflection shine through. So I just had to get it. And the right one, I'd have like hundreds of pictures of bees. Like, no, probably way more. So it's probably just like amongst all my bee pictures, I'm like, yeah, this one's pretty good.
So when you're doing this type of work, are you using Photoshop or are you using AI to enhance?
No, none of these. Well, these were before the AI enhancements and stuff. And those first two, like I said, those were more without editing. But these ones, yeah, certainly go into editing, because of course the first one's like kind of confusing, because like the dock is on the top and bottom. So I kind of made like a reflection of it, but it's also flipped upside down. So like really the water is on the top, but it's hard to tell because like that's actually the sky, and the bottom is the sky. But I put a copy of the dock.
Okay.
You know, and corrected the perspective for it.
That's super funky. Yeah. Right.
The right
Anybody
one
who's ever played with perspective knows how frustrating that can be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had to get that perfectly right. But I luckily just got the shot. I knew what I had to do, and I lined it up, and it worked out, because I didn't have a computer around me at the time. So I got that done later. But the right one is this basketball hoop I had grown up with all my life and never replaced the net or anything. And I just felt like it looked so warm and welcoming, but like very worn too.
Yes.
You know, that thing is gone now.
Okay, now these two are two of my absolute favorite pieces that you've done. And it's weird that you put them together, because those are actually two of my favorites. So tell us a little bit about these.
Yeah, the left one, the background is a photo I took in Maine at a beach. And later on, I was playing with this program called Mandelbulb 3D. It's like a 3D fractal program.
Oh, I love fractals.
And yeah, I was just like, I was making this one anyways, and I wanted to match the lighting and everything to the photo. So that's what I did. And then I used a program, I forget what the other program was. This was a while ago. Pixelmator. Pixelmator was really impressive, because like it was like Photoshop, but it ran all the filters on the graphics, you know, the 3D accelerator. So it would be like super responsive and quick with all these really cool effects. So um I made like the light burst in the background, made sure it the foreground blocked it all correctly, and then painted in the light poking through all the cracks.
Now, when you're working on this in these graphic images and stuff like that, I mean, I personally work in Photoshop all the time. Now I'm using a little bit of AI enhancements and stuff to go along with everything. But I know how labor intensive on your PC that it can be to do this stuff. I also have a Mac, and the Mac is a little bit better at the processing. So, did you have to update all of your equipment to get more enhanced cameras, better computers, bigger drives and everything? Or are you kind of still running on just a standard PC system when you're working on this?
Well, at the time, I think it worked pretty well with my computer. Everything worked together well. But of course, over time, with, the updates and stuff, they like to make it obsolete. So that computer just became, a rock, eventually like a paperweight. Like you couldn't, you had to move on to another system. And yeah, like all those pieces came through with other software. The right one, the background is actually a program I made, and I have like videos of that and stuff. So that's like a still from that. And but everything else, like just like the buildings themselves, that photo, it was an original photo that I broke down, and I added shadowing and added lighting to all the buildings, and the light coming streaming out and everything. The rest of the piece is just Photoshop work I did on it. Yep. So that's how I composited it all together. So
you did a beautiful job.
Thanks. Yeah, like all these are just results of using multiple programs together, and I think that's like kind of a really cool thing you can do too to get like some interesting results.
Okay.
And these are more abstract, leaning on more even more edits. And this is still like before AI stuff. So just a lot of big processes. And of course, like with the left one, I like to go back. This one's like really high resolution, and it looks like kind of like what do you call it? Kind of like dot matrix. Like you can see like all these circles making up the image when you get down really close. But then I added like kind of like the wear and tear on it and everything else too. So it's all part of the process.
And still mostly Photoshop with these ones. So this is pretty, learning different techniques within there, or are you still using multiple programs?
The primary image on that is a program I made to make those circles and stuff. So that
when you say you make a program to do that, could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So that one was like without any interface or anything. It was just like code, and it was just like a for loop with like circles and stuff arranged on different grids. And I just play with the colors and the alignment and everything and just see what happens. I also have another photo layered over it, but I forget what it is.
So you're actually writing code to get the imagery to come out.
On the left one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I do that more and more. As you see, this is something called Levy-C curve, and it's a kind of fractal where you just keep on splitting the angle on a line over and over again. And I was just figuring out different ways to display it and render it. So these are 100% code.
Okay. All right. So
nothing else. Yep.
you're not using a fractal program. You're actually writing the program to make the fractals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Because I've played around with them a little bit in different software programs and, made some beautiful imagery and stuff like that. But you're actually on the back end writing the code that makes this happen. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And how that all started, I mean, I think a couple of these things triggered it. I just like saw or read something and I became obsessed with it. I was like, oh, what is this thing? What is a Levy-C curve? I'm like, oh, that's neat. I'm like, oh, I think I can reproduce that. And then more and more I started playing around with it. I became obsessed with it and I wanted to experiment with it.
Fractals are always fun because, you can start with anything and then just keep going with it. And the imagery changes as you're creating. It can look like something 1 second and the next second be completely different. It almost reminds me of when you were a kid, the kaleidoscopes, when you would turn it and it would just keep changing and changing. And this is gorgeous and very vibrant. Love this.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, that's like the Levy-C curve again. I was just trying to figure out another way of displaying it. And this is like going through a whole bunch of different angles and just stacking up on top of each other with different colors.
Okay.
So I wanted to see like the whole evolution of that curve. So yeah, that's how it came out.
The coding that you're creating to do all of this, like what programs are you using for this?
Oh, well that it's not even like anything special, or it doesn't really matter, but before I used Text Wrangler, and that became BB Edit. I also use I've also used other coding programs like for if I want to make something that's for iOS or Mac OS, I use Xcode. Yeah, but like these are just all JavaScript, but I need to get back into this, but I have it installed locally so it can actually write files. So like this is like the Levy-C curve thing too, with some other stuff and other things mixed in. Because I made a program called Mix that mixes like a bunch of my visuals programs together. And then I can make it just render one frame at a time, and then I can run a command to take all those images that it renders, put them all together and make a video. So yeah, a lot of my stuff now is video, which is it's hard to portray sometimes in a still image.
Yep.
Because there's like things flowing everywhere and stuff, and yeah. But
it's very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, like so. Yeah, since I had it installed locally on my machine, I was able to just render one frame at a time and make like a nice clean video out of all those images. Because it would have been like too hard to do a screen or video screen capture, and because it was just too much work for the computer to do.
I think it's very I don't think I really understood that you were actually creating your digital artwork from code, which is really interesting because I think we think of artwork, we think of whether you're drawing or painting or something along those lines, and then when you think of digital artwork, you're thinking more of creating things using programs and whether it's Photoshop or Illustrator and things like that to create it, not from doing it from the back end. I mean, that's so incredibly different,
Yeah, you're just making your own tool and kind of focusing on an aspect. And I think that's powerful because it might be really tedious to use like a very open-ended program that does everything and doing the tedious process to get there. But if you make your own program, you can make that more straightforward and automatic.
Now, how does someone who might be interested in doing this like actually learn this technique?
Yeah, well, yeah, I definitely want to talk more about that because I think it's changed a lot with AI, and I think it's opens it up to a lot of people.
Okay, let's look at more of this then, and we'll catch up to that.
Yeah, do the next slide. I forget what the next one is, but maybe.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So this is going back a little bit. So I will get to the process AI stuff, but what I always found myself doing was making editors for me or other people to make stuff with. So this was in I remade this, but not with accounts. But in 2008, I made a site called Major Output that had accounts on it, and people could draw a little pixel image, a 20 by 20 pixel image in this like little box and submit it. And I got like a lot of people submitting stuff, so I had to make like a moderating thing where I was moderating people's responses. But it was so incredible because like I couldn't believe the images on the right. Those are user submissions. Those are things that users made on the site. And like every morning when I woke up to check what people made, it was like opening presents on Christmas. Like it was no different. Like I was like, I wonder what people made with this thing now. And like, yeah.
Some of them like are really impressive too.
Yeah. You only have 40 colors. You only have 20 by 20 pixels to draw on. So anyways, like, yeah, I made this in 2008 and then I got a job somewhere and I was way too busy. I had to let the site go. But luckily I was able I got myself to resurrect it a few years ago, which I'm happy that I did, but it doesn't have accounts anymore. But what I did, I was able to store the entire image in the web address. So as you're drawing, it updates the web address and then you can just share that web address with someone and it will share that pixel image.
Oh, that's
so people
really
can
cool.
Share things that way. Yeah. Doesn't store it anywhere.
Okay.
And so this is another tool I made, and you'll see a comeback of this later too. But this one's from 2004, but this one goes back to 2001. Yeah, I made this and it just makes, crazy swirly patterns with different shapes and stuff. And it's called Dupamix. And it actually still exists on some site I just found.
Oh gosh.
I was kind of surprised. Yeah. But yeah, like it's something, I thought about. I'm like, wow, I made this thing too. And it's like another editor for people to make stuff in. I'll come back to it because I'll come back. So, a couple of years ago, I got obsessed with this thing called cellular automata, and it's a grid of colors, and they all have rules to follow, and they're dependent on their neighbors and the state that they're in. And yeah, it's too bad that it's still that we're looking at here, but really it's like a moving thing. And with some of the patterns you can discover, it looks like microbial life or
looks like asteroids
or something
to me.
moving
like
around.
Asteroids.
Yeah. Well, when you see it moving around, it kind of looks like it can kind of look alive or something. It's pretty crazy. And so when I first started making this, I just saw I've seen this for years because there's this thing called Conway's Game of Life. It only uses 2 colors, but it's super old. And I remember in the 90s, I had like some programs on my computer that did Conway's Game of Life, and I thought that was really cool. And I saw like a YouTube video a couple of years ago. I'm like, wait, I want to try making Conway's Game of Life. And I just made it with code and there was no interface or anything. I'm like, well, I want to change up the rules, and I was changing it in the code and it was getting kind of messy. And I found myself going back to the same thing where I'm adding controls to it, and instead of changing the code, I'm adding controls to the screen.
Okay.
So, and the controls kept on evolving, and what I ultimately landed on was just something where, all right, I'm not really thinking, I'm just clicking buttons and sliding my mouse around and seeing what happens. And really, that's the best way of doing it, because like it's too tedious to like think up how something would react. You know what I mean? Like, I just try random things, and now I have like literally like a couple thousand of these patterns saved.
Now, do you envision these would be something that could be used for like the back of a video game, a backdrop, or things like that?
Yeah, totally. And there's some groups I'm a part of, and every once in a while, I haven't really looked into them a whole lot, but there are some games that use some automata stuff in it. And yeah, I do want to think about that more. I've made tons of videos with this, and I guess I'll get to the AI stuff a little bit.
Okay.
You know, at first I couldn't have that big of a grid until maybe a month ago when I asked Claude to make a GPU version of this, because this worked completely on the CPU. Okay. And so I had to go through each cell at a time, you know, for every frame. So it'd be like a lot of work in the end. But like, I read that like on a GPU, it could take 4,096 cells, and on every single one of those pixels, it has a program called a fragment shader that runs that you know, does it all at once. So it can just do all those cells at once effortlessly. So you get way more power on there.
More efficient.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. So Claude AI figured it out in a few prompts, and yeah, it was huge. And I just kept on going with it.
So time saving and more capability as well.
Yeah. I'll get more into like how to do that too, or what my process is for it. But this is I wanted to make like a viewer and like what I had before, like to save all my automatas on a page, I just had like a whole bunch of squares, and I could roll over and see the title, but I didn't know what they looked like. I just thought it would be impossible to like make so many squares at once display. But now that I had it working on the GPU, I asked Claude to prepare another Claude agent to make a browser for my automata. So I had it write instructions for a new Claude agent to do that. So yeah, it took my old HTML file with a whole bunch of squares and made them real-time views. Like these are all animated as I scroll, playing out the automata. And I can just click on them. And when I click on them, I can either copy the link, or I can click on them to go to that editor that you saw before for the automata. So I can open it up there.
Okay. Let's see. What do we have here?
So this is automata again, but I was interested in being able to scan it somehow, make sound out of it. So I kept on, there's so many ways that you could approach this, but there's a lot of ways. Yeah, if you go back one, sorry, this is something different. Like it plays out, and it plays like a certain radius of colors in there, and you can assign what they do. Anyways, it's a synthesizer basically. I made like a sequencer with it. You could play like a keyboard through it. I'm still developing it. This is something I'm really psyched about, because I think it's like a new way of making certain tones and stuff. So I'd want it to make it like an audio plugin for producers and stuff.
Very cool.
And this is like I started making like a tile editor for a game, and this is all out of the automata stuff too. So like I didn't draw any of these tiles. Like it's just how they happen to play out. Basically I would just have it like draw like a rectangle or something, and then the automata rules would play out and they make the graphics, which I know sounds weird and impossible. But so I went from this tile editor. It makes the tile maps, and then the one on the right is the actual game that looks like a dungeon, you know, looking down. So the game made the tiles on the edges kind of lean inwards. So they kind of looked like, it kind of looks like a Zelda dungeon, like looking down.
Absolutely. It does.
Yeah.
It does look like Zelda.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should just, talk about like how I get Claude to do this and all that.
Yeah,
whatnot.
of course.
So the reason why I like JavaScript and doing stuff, even though this is WebGL, so it's still pretty powerful. Reason why I like JavaScript, because like everyone has that. It's like immediately available. If you want to show someone, you just go to the website, right? Everyone has a browser on their desktop. Everyone can paste in plain text somewhere and save it as an HTML file and just run it. So what I ask Claude to do for whatever I want to do is say, provide a all-in-one, all-inclusive HTML file with the proper CSS and JavaScript needed for this program. And then you can describe your program. And, I'm making an editor, the author thing. So it's not like I'm telling it to make everything. I'm not like telling it to just start with the game. It gives me a little bit more control and the freedom that I like to have to, make things tile by tile and see how they work, instead of having the AI make assumptions about how it should work, So, that's what I do. I take things in steps. I made the Automata editor, and then I made the browser. And with this one, I put the Automata browser in here. So I keep on taking older programs and recombining them, and they keep on evolving that way. So like this game I'm making, but like when I feel like the tool is ready, like anyone could use these tools all together to make whatever they want.
So the coding that you've put together is usable pretty much to anybody else who has
like
a browser. Like they don't need to have, and they don't have to have special software.
Exactly. And like, I think people should develop for whatever platform that they want to, but I'm just suggesting that that's something that like anyone could do. Like, even though I'm using Claude model that's pretty capable, like I think anyone could go on to Gemini and make something pretty simple. Like right now, you could just say, give me an all-in-one HTML file that has the CSS and JavaScript that's needed to do blah, blah, blah. And it will make a preview right there too, right? And you can download it
if it's the way you want it.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually that's great that it's able to be, shared easily with other people, so that somebody's like, hey, I like this piece, I want to use this for my stuff. So this is it's a very different technique.
Yeah. This is a revival of Dupamix. The one I made back, like, started in 2001. So I had the Flash file for Dupamix, and I included that in the prompt too, and I explained what the program did. And of course I extended onto it a whole lot, but I remade it, and it's pretty cool. I'm happy about it.
Nice. Now, do you share the programs that you've made with other people as well, or is the stuff that people buy access from you? How does that work?
Yeah, well, like when they were more available, I mean, they still are. And my Automata one is called Slide Rules. I don't feel it's like 100% ready, and this one is definitely not ready. And I can't say I have like readily available web addresses that people can take down, but I will get them out there.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. But that program, that Dupamix program and the Automata program, I started making this piece, and it says exact, and I love writing and street art. I love how different graffiti artists make their letters and stuff, and kind of digitally, inspired by that kind of style, different letters and stuff, but doing it with repeated shapes of different patterns. So the Exact was made in that new Dupamix program that I just showed you. And the background is my cellular automata.
Okay. I can see that.
Yep.
Very cool. All right. So that's a very interesting journey of, how you've changed your style from, the typical artistic style to doing all of this stuff in code and creating all this stuff. I mean, what do you envision will be the end product with your work? Are you, hoping for this work to end up getting pulled in by companies to use as, like you said, for games and stuff like that? Or, is this something that is more of a personal journey for you and you're doing this out of the love of the art?
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely partially the latter, that it, like, I definitely like it for my own art, because I love, all these things individually, and I love like compositing them together too, and seeing how they can work together. But yeah, really, I also want to, first of all, encourage people to think about making their own tools. And even though it sounds impossible, it's not. It's like, it's getting more and more possible all the time. Just through, plain text interactions of complicated code. And I know, like, looking at code is important, but I'm not like making a rocket ship to Mars. It's okay if it crashes. I just need to, tune it up a bit. And it doesn't come out right sometimes, when you get your changes back, but even though I become frustrated, I realize later on it's probably because I haven't explained it well enough. It's also because the AIs aren't that capable yet. But no AI is going to be able to 100% know what you mean unless you really explain it. It's going to start making assumptions. Or what I like about Claude, though, is that it asks me questions. Last update I tried to make, it stopped me and asked me 7 questions. Okay, like, so before I continue, I just want to nail down a few things. I'm like, wow, there's so many contradictions I made that were, going to probably mess up the program. I just, want to, first of all, encourage people, to make their own tools, and I want to provide these tools to people, even though, I said that they're not ready yet. I'll try to do it as best I can, especially the automata stuff for Slack rules, I think, and the sound tool.
I love the fact that you were saying that, Claude asked you questions and stuff. So you were, it was definitely paying attention to what you were doing and kind of, coming back with feedback so that it could try to give you the right answer to what you wanted.
Yes. Yeah, that's really good. Claude has definitely been like a step up, or considerable magnitudes better than other LLMs that I've used for code assistance. Of course, it's not perfect, and it recently did hallucinate too. And another Claude agent told me that agent hallucinated, which was funny. But yeah, it's pretty manageable. And it's really cool that it can give you like a preview right in the chat too, the agent. Like, you don't necessarily have to host it anywhere, but I encourage that you do, just so you have a copy of it. And if it's online too, then you can share it with people.
Of course. Okay. Well, that's amazing. And, I look forward to seeing what you come out with in the future. And, is there anything that you would tell people, who might be interested in doing some of this stuff or learning more about it? Should they contact you to learn some more about it? Or is there a place that they can go to get more information?
Yeah, definitely feel free to contact me. I'm on Discord and Instagram, and my name is ExactSpace. I can just give you, examples of what I've tried. I'm trying to think of my process more with using code assistants, whether it's Gemini or Claude, but I would definitely start really basic. When you first make a prompt and you just want to get something to work and you want to build upon it's going to be tough if you tell it to do way too much at once. Get something on the screen, and like for if you're making like a visual, and then start thinking about controls. Just say like add a slider to adjust the width of this so I can tell you what value to put it on, or just so that you can adjust it. So yeah, I think that's what it's all about. Just making small incremental changes to whatever editor or game you're making.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us and giving us the examples and seeing your progression over the years, how you've, created these programs and then gone back and updated them and, kept going with it. It's impressive. The outcome. If any of you are not following ExactSpace on Instagram, if you go on there, you can see some of these in motion so that they can get a better feel for, what they actually look like when they're working. It's a great account to follow just for the beauty of the art itself. So,
well, I really got to update it because the last update I made was last year. There's so much that I've done, but I don't feel like it's I only really post when I feel like I've really jumped a hurdle and I really got something to show that puts the period at the end of the sentence.
Mm-hmm. I understand that completely. Mm-hmm. You're an artist, Yep. I get that. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you again for coming on and sharing this with us. It's been great to see it. This has been a nice creative way to end, our guest season. Next week, as we mentioned at the beginning, it will be our season finale. But we do want to take a moment to thank our sponsors that have stuck with us, throughout this season. We have DJ Marcus, we have Kip, we have Rich from Hume AI and Cybershade VR. We've got Beauty of Tink and Tinkerlove 1980. We've got Fuchsia with the Virtual Fitness Group. And we've got Ice Cold Stacks and Ty Sky, the DJ, with Ice Cold Casino and Lounge coming out very, very soon. Keep your eyes open for that. And BYOB Events putting together a bunch of stuff for the community. So thank all of you who have been with us through this whole season. Some of you have been with us for many seasons. And we appreciate all of the support that we get to keep this show going. Thank you so much. And next week, going to close out the season. We'll do a recap of all the episodes. And as always, these episodes, including tonight, will be up on our Discord and also on our YouTube channel. So if you've missed an episode, you want to catch it again, there was something that you wanted to get more info on, or if you just wanted everyone's contact information, definitely check it out on Discord. All the information is there. And I hope we will see you all again next Monday night. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you.